All right, ladies. So I always start with either the Aunt Jemima original, which the kids prefer, or the Robbie's, which Holly and I prefer. Aunt Jemima, of course, you can buy anywhere in a grocery store. Make sure it's the original, though. And the Robbie's, I already sent you a canister of that, so you guys can try it if you want. The one I'm going to show you this morning uses the Aunt Jemima. Okay, so when I'm making either one of these mixes, I always make sure I have real buttermilk. In fact, I will not even eat pancakes unless they have buttermilk in them now. So you basically make the Aunt Jemima mix the way it shows on the box, right here. But instead of using milk, you use buttermilk. And whether it's whole buttermilk or low-fat buttermilk, I haven't really noticed much of a difference in the taste. Okay, these are the only other specialty things you'll need. The first is the pan on the left, and I already sent that to you, so that probably arrived before I made this video. And then the other one is the Sweetie Magic by Paul Prudhomme. It's basically a cinnamon and sugar mix, and you should have some of that arriving at your house as well. So if you have all of these things with all your basic stuff like butter and what have you, you should be good to go. Okay, so to prep your pan, you want to put in little dots of butter. I only use a little bit. The reason I like the butter is because, first of all, I do prefer the taste of having a little butter there. But it also helps the pancakes brown better. I don't care for the way aluminum heats, and I think the butter makes them brown a little bit better. You want to make sure that you're melting the butter on low and that you cook the entire time on very low. That will allow the pancakes to cook all the way through without getting too dark or burnt on the outside. Okay, so I've already eaten, so I'm only going to make 3. And you can see the butter that's in there is just very minimal. Okay, and normally I make the whole pan all at once. You start out by taking a tablespoon and putting a little bit less than a tablespoon in each one of the little circles. Okay, and right now your heat is on low, and as I mentioned, your heat always stays on low because they will overcook. All right. Once you have your little circles, then you start filling them. Now we're going to use banana and cinnamon, and these are the thin banana slices I made. Okay. You can use different types of jellies and jams, chocolate, all kinds of fun stuff like that. And then this is what's called the Sweetie Mix that I sent you in the mail. Okay, this is essentially a brown sugar cinnamon mix. Okay, so what you have is bananas with brown sugar and cinnamon. Okay, and one more. And then once you have them stuffed, you cover them up. And you do want to make sure that all of the stuffing is covered. You don't want any of it exposed. And you'll see why in a few minutes when we flip them. Alright, so we're going to let them cook on low, and we'll be back in about a minute and a half once they're ready to be flipped. Alright, so this is the only trick with this. You have to watch them cook and watch the pancake start to cook on the edges. It's basically no different than any other pancake you would flip. When the batter starts to bubble and the edges start to firm up a little bit, you know it's ready to turn them over. So you take your 2 skewers and you literally just flip it like this. Okay? Alright, let's do this one. And you can see they're a nice little golden brown. Okay. The other thing you'll notice is they're not evenly cooked. This one is cooked more than this one, and that's just because I hate these aluminum pans, and they don't tend to heat evenly, no matter how good they are. Alright, so we're going to let that cook for a second, and if you need it to be, let's say, this one looks a little, not raw, but lighter. Once they cook for a few minutes, you can just use a big spoon to flip them over. Go ahead and pause the video for a second. We'll come back. These have gotten to a point now, it's been about a minute and a half, where they're firm enough to where if you want to flip them, you can. Okay? And that way, if it's cooked more on one side or not the other, you just flip it around. Okay? It's not that big of a deal. And like any other pancake, you want to wait for them to be done enough on all sides before eating them. And this is the biggest reason you cook them slowly, is that you want time, first of all, for the internal batter to cook, because if they come out with raw batter inside, they're awful to me. I can't stand it. Holly likes it, but I can't stand it. But the other thing is, you want time for the insides, the stuffing itself, to either melt or heat up, depending on what you're using. Okay, now I've done stuff like raspberry jam. I've added chocolate to the batter to make chocolate pancakes, and then put Godiva chocolate on the inside as a dessert, and covered it with powdered sugar. So there's a whole bunch of different things you can do with these. And if I'm not mistaken, the pan I sent you came with a cookbook. It may have, I don't remember. So that's basically it. The only thing I would say is now you just pull them out of the pan, put syrup on them, and I always warm the syrup up, but you put hot syrup on them and they're good to go. One other tip, when you go to make another batch, wipe off your skewers before you try to use them again, and before you use the pan again, wipe it off. Okay? If you have all the little crumbs and stuff in there, it messes them up. So you want to take a paper towel and wipe it off real fast before you use it again. Good luck.